It's not what you know, it's who you know, is a saying in business when you want to reach the top. But sometimes who you know determines what you know. Which is true for Beethoven and his string quartets. Beethoven could rely on a very small group of people that helped him to the top of his career. And one man in particular had very special knowledge about the string quartet because he was the first to form a professional performing string quartet in history. Meet him in episodes 36 of Beethoven 250 and 52 Posts, Ignaz Schuppanzigh. Schuppanzigh! As we learned in the last episode of Beethoven 250 and 52 Posts, Beethoven wrote his string quartets in 3 parts. The first 6 were written between 1798 and 1802, after which he needed a little break to return to the genre. And in 1804 he started to write the second part of his in total 16 quartets. And the man responsible for that was Ignaz Schuppanzigh. Ignaz Schuppanzigh was a viola and violin player who was a leading figure of musical life in Vienna in the early 1800s. Beethoven had had violin lessons from Schuppanzigh to better understand the instrument. And ever since they had built a lifelong friendship, a lifelong professional relationship in which Schuppanzigh became a very important advisor for Beethoven in writing for strings. Especially in writing for string quartets, for Schuppanzigh had formed the first professional string quartet in history. And that must have meant a lot for both parties, because Beethoven, with the Schuppanzigh quartet, had access to a very specialized group of people with whom he could try out his string quartets. And for the Schuppanzigh quartet, it of course meant that they could go down in history as the very first quartet to have ever played and premiered these now famous notes by Beethoven. But those quartets had to be written first, of course, and Schuppanzigh started a concert series in 1804 in Vienna, and when Beethoven heard about it, he immediately started sketching 3 pieces. But the success of the series also came to the attention of the Russian ambassador Andreas Razumovsky, and when he heard the Schuppanzigh quartet performing, he decided that he wanted them as his house quartet in his newly built luxurious grand palace in Vienna. He offered them a salary and a lifelong pension, and that was an offer they couldn't refuse, of course. Razumovsky himself was a pretty good amateur violinist, and since he was paying the Schuppanzighs, he sometimes therefore wanted to play the second violin in the quartet. Ignaz Schuppanzigh didn't really like that, but had to allow it, of course. And that was not the only finger Razumovsky had in the porridge. Because as another business saying goes, who pays the fiddler calls the tune. And that counted for the composer of these quartets as well. The saying, who pays the fiddler calls the tune, can be taken literally for Beethoven's quartets number 7 to 9. Being the Russian ambassador, Razumovsky had suggested to Beethoven to use some Russian themes in those quartets, including this theme which you just heard. Glory to the sun. Beautiful Russian theme, which Beethoven indeed used in one of those Razumovsky quartets. And so, with his name as the title for the quartets, Razumovsky made himself immortal. Something we can't say about his palace, by the way, his luxurious Viennese palace that burned down completely in 1814. And also meant the end of the Schuppanzigh quartet. Well, for the time being at least, because Ignaz and Beethoven would stay lifelong partners in crime in developing new quartets, even though Beethoven wasn't always very kind to Schuppanzigh. Schuppanzigh! Ignaz was quite obese, or to say the least. He was so fat that he couldn't even play in tune all the time. And Beethoven teased him with the following song in praise of the fat man.
Schuppanzigh ist ein Lump. Wer kennt ihn nicht, den dicken Saumagen, den aufgeblasenen Eselskopf. Oh, Lump, Schuppanzigh, oh, Esel, Schuppanzigh.
Wir stimmen alle ein, du bist der größte Esel.
Artistic body shaming in the 19th century. Well, this episode is getting a bit obese as well, so I'm going to end it. No worries, next week you'll have another episode of Beethoven 250 in 52 posts. In the meantime, please subscribe to my YouTube channel to keep following the series. Donate to guarantee my existence and therefore the existence of the series. And see you next week. Bye.